So it only really becomes an issue if it's becoming prolonged or it's quite intense and impacting our life. So if we're thinking a bit too much in the future, then it can move into worry, and worry can move into anxiety. And in the past, if we move from reflecting into regret, it can cause us some pain, and also into depression. But we have these two for a reason, and there is a real positive as well when you find yourself in one of these zones, because it actually influences us to change as well. It triggers us to change because we don't want to stay there. For example, choosing in a moment to be present, choosing in a moment to plan, choosing in another moment to think back and reflect, and mindfully pausing, stepping back and choosing that. And then where we feel our thoughts are getting out of control, when it's going to one extreme end or the other, is pausing and just being aware that that is what is happening. And all we need to do to get on that positive spiral is to do this one thing or one or two things that just shift our perspective enough to make us feel a little bit better. That's all we're aiming for. Once you feel that little bit better, you start moving up the positive spiral. So it's not going from completely feeling down or anxious to suddenly feeling amazing. It's shifting your perception or your feelings just enough to make you feel a little bit more hopeful and positive. What happens is you have then a chemical reaction that feels positive, then you feel better in your head, then you start doing more things that make you feel good, you follow your joy, and you're on the way back up. You have a choice. So for example, we have these two hands, and on these two hands, if something comes up that we're becoming aware of, we can choose to either develop it, work on it, grow, or we can choose to work on loving and accepting that side of ourselves, because it's not about being perfect. It's just about deciding, okay, what is causing me significant pain and impacting my life, and what is it that is causing me a bit of a disturbance, but actually it'd be much easier if I could just accept that about myself. And we make these choices. So what I always say to my one-to-one clients is that sometimes when we first start talking and opening up and becoming aware of some of the things that we might want to look at or accept, it feels like it's really immense and intense, like there's so many things. It feels like your mind's scattered all over. So this is the analogy that I use. If you imagine a tree, this is the trunk of the tree. There's branches on the tree, and then there's twigs, and then there's lots of leaves. So when you focus just on the leaves, we think that there's so many things, where do I begin? But actually, even if you were to pick one leaf off at a time, you would notice that there is a pattern. And you'd be like, oh, that's really the same thing. That's my confidence again. So it could be that you have a confidence branch, and of that branch there's various things that come out in behaviours or thinking. And it might be that you might have only 2 or 3 kind of main categories that you're finding your patterns falling into. So already it's becoming less overwhelming and less of a big job, to change your thinking, your patterns and your rewiring. And you might find that if you work on your confidence branch, that your self-esteem branch is also connected and works alongside it without you even doing anything. So sometimes you don't even need to work on everything. It's just all interlinked somehow, because it's linked to this core. Some cases, with lots of contemplation and awareness, you can get right to the core, work on the core, and everything comes down through it. So once we get there, once we recognise that this is my life and nobody else can do this for me, then we start to apply, we start to practice, we start to do things like our self-hypnosis, we start to unravel, rewire, do all the different things that can help us on the progress chart. And I really want to show you this image of a progress chart, because often we expect the learning curve to go up high from our motivation and zoom up and constantly be just going up and feeling great. And it's very natural to start off on any new process with lots of motivation, drive and energy, and that to just wane off a little bit. So that's normal. So just looking at this chart, we can see that we can start off really positive, big movements, feeling great, and we can have a plateau. The plateau can be disheartening sometimes, or it can just be a little rest period. And then we might get another burst of energy, motivation might go up, we might plateau again, and then sometimes we can have a dip. Well, we will have a dip at some point. Where that is on the line will just depend on various factors. But if we have a dip, what happens is, because we've been going up pretty much most of the time, and then this dip comes, it can feel like the dip has gone right back to the beginning, because the feelings are strong. But if we look logically at this kind of graph, we can see that we've come a long way.